Y'all gotta do it loud. Oh, it did make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know it was that loud.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome. Come on in
To the chat.
to the chat to the east.
Let's see. We are live.
Okay, guys, we just wanted to welcome you again for tuning in on the Thursday.
Yes.
Today is August the 9th. Look, I'm gonna get
August 9th.
my weather forecast. Today is August the 9th, and it's beautiful outside. Just wanted to quick say that today we just gonna have a general conversation, just mothers to mothers. We want to talk about some things about raising our boys, black boys.
Yes.
Just talk about those general things. Actually, we had JT Thompson, one of the activists in St. Paul. He was supposed to be here this weekend, him and his wife, Miss Thompson, but unfortunately her son got shot. Her son got shot on...
Do not disturb.
It's on do not disturb.
her son got shot on, I think it was a couple of days ago,
Yeah.
attending a funeral. He's a well-known activist. We actually was going to talk about some things that has to do with our community, with our African-American sons. But, so they wasn't able to make it this week. So this week we'll just be generally talking about different topics about, I guess, mothering of our
So yeah.
sons.
So basically, hey Carl. So basically, our topic is mother to mother. So we want mothers to chime in. We're basically talking about what's going on today, and we're talking about not just being mother of children, but being mother of young black sons. Men, this is for you as well. Chime in if you have sons. We want you to chime in as well. We kind of want your input, so please, you guys, take the time, comment. We'll try to get to everyone's comments and questions as we like to read. But we definitely want to, this will probably be more or less of a serious matter that we talk about, because it is something that is very near and dear to our hearts.
Right.
So it's something that we've basically wanted to talk about for a long time.
So I guess we can start off. I am Tiffany, as you guys know, of the Love Opinions. I have two boys that is 25
Wow.
and 24.
Wow.
I got one grandson, he is 4, and I actually have another grandson that is due pretty soon here.
Oh wow.
I think, no,
Okay.
December or something. I don't even know what his
Okay.
due date is, but
You don't know.
he'll be here soon.
Yay! Congrats.
So, I know I'm happy.
Grandma.
My name is Ebony. I'm also with the Love Opinions, and let's see, I have one son. I have 3 children, but I only have one son, and he is going to be 14.
Oh, you was Steve.
So I shouldn't say I'm not old enough, but my kids are not old enough to have children yet. So I'm far from grandparenthood.
You missing out. You missing out.
Yeah.
I mean, when
can
we get
wait.
to that point, I know I'm going to be happy.
Right. You'll be ready.
Yeah,
Right.
I'll be ready. But right now, I'm not ready. My daughter is, she's 3rd year, going into her 3rd year in college, so she's just looking forward to furthering her education and finishing. So I'm glad about that.
I'm Amika from Love Opinions. I have 2 children as well. My son will be 17 next month. I was thinking about my daughter's 14. So, yeah.
And our sons share the same birthday.
Yep.
Oh, do they?
Yep.
Yep,
Okay.
October 14th.
Yep.
And they both 14?
No,
My
he's
son's
14. He'll be
17.
17.
He'll be
Oh, yeah,
14.
that's right. Driving and working, yeah.
Yeah, he's driving. And I'm Edie. I have an 18-year-old who will be starting college this year, and I have a 16-year-old. Nice.
Nice.
Okay, so I guess we could dive right in. We kind of took some notes, as we always do, of some things about, I guess because of everything that's going on, we've been we get into that mode. I think every time, I don't really watch the news as much, but I am on social media, so therefore I cannot avoid seeing some things that we see on TV. I know they are notorious for highlighting everything that's going on in Chicago. I actually made the decision to leave with my children when I did have children, to leave Chicago because of what's happening right now. Like, I kind of foreseen how it would get worse because it was already in a certain manner in Chicago. So I just thought, like, look, I'm not gonna raise my kids here. I'm going to have them and leave. So, so yeah, we've been kind of watching a lot of stuff on social media. I don't know if you guys watch the news or whatever, but it does give you some type of an alarm about your boys that you kind of think about seeing that stuff all the time. So
Right, because this whole thing that happened last weekend in Chicago was crazy. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
it
watch news either. I mean, I know it's scripted, but I just try to stay away from it. It's just too upsetting. But that was crazy. 10 dead and I don't know how many wounded. And for what?
Yeah.
That's
It sounded like it was random.
right, and then somebody had like the Cook County Hospital. That's another issue because I know in Minnesota we have like, because I work there, the level 1 trauma center that can handle traumas as far as like gunshots, and then you also have Hennepin County, which is a level 1 trauma center. But in Chicago, there's really not hospitals that's like ordained for, you know, traumas for like, you know, so I mean, even if your child was to get shot, there's still a possibility that there wouldn't be the people on hand or on deck to, you know, take care of your
that
child.
type of
So
catastrophe.
so
Oh, wow.
and somebody actually put that on Facebook where they had they showed like Cook County Hospital, which is a hospital in Chicago,
Yep.
of all the people outside crying.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
people. So I guess it was like 76 76 people, not just boys, that were shot, and 11 that was dead
Wow.
like over the weekend.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So basically, it was like a total of 25 that were involved.
And it's so crazy because we was thinking about, we actually was going to talk about, we was going to go to Wilson's Imaging and kind of have this thing talking about that. And it's so crazy that one of the activists, you know, you get a call
Right.
from them, like his son got shot at a funeral.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's like,
crazy.
I'm like, that took my breath away, you know? So I guess we can kind of talk about some of the fears that we have when we hear that stuff. Or do you guys have fears about?
Yeah, I mean, as a mom of a black son, yes. How things are going right now and what's going on. I don't know if you all seen the video, and this is something else. And actually, one of my friends who live in Chicago shared this in a group where it was in the Minnehaha area, where a Caucasian man was messing with these younger boys. Now, they're my son's age. They were like 13, 12. But when the cops came, they handcuffed the boys.
14-year-olds.
Yeah. And the Caucasian boy was long gone. But they had them sitting down in the front of the police car, basically handcuffed. The woman who was standing there, she was questioning them. She was like, "So why do you have them handcuffed?" And he was just like, "Well, ma'am," he said, "we're just taking precautions." She said, "But you're still not answering my question." And she was a white woman. She was a Caucasian woman.
Oh, there's a lot of
And
them
she-
that stand up for us.
Yeah, and so she basically was saying at the same time too, like, why do you have them? She was like, the guy that did it, she said, I saw the whole thing. The guy that did it is still out here. Why aren't you gonna go look for him? She said they did nothing. So they picked them up, still handcuffed, and put them in the back of the police car. She said, why are you arresting them? He said, we're not arresting them. She said, so then why did you put them in the car and why are they still handcuffed? He would not answer their question at all. He would not answer her question. And it's all kind of people just standing there. She questioned that man. She did not let it go. But then at that point, they cut off the video. And I was trying to go and find the rest of the video, and I couldn't find it. And I was just kind of wanting to know what the outcome was of that. But I just thought it was so sad that even though there was a woman there that was a witness, the simple fact that, I mean, just my opinion, I don't know what it is. It's almost like that there is a hate for our young black men in our community by the police when it comes down to this.
I was talking to a lady yesterday. I was doing her eyebrows. She was actually white, but she kind of broke it down to me of her, how she feel about it. She said it's just a fear factor because of, we always have the media telling us about Chicago 62 dead, and you know we showing the gang violence with the black men, and then we showing all this violent stuff about black men that instantly, like in their mind, they are already fearful of a black person. So they don't even have a time to make a decision of making sure that they're going to ask a question or do anything. They just basically have that fear.
Yep.
Because we are known to be fearful, or I mean, you know, or we portrayed to be, intimidating to them. So my main thing is because I live in Blaine, and I was just telling Amika that before we started, it's like, man, like, I don't remember when my kids was growing up, me so much having so many conversations with them as far as the protocol as being a black man. versus the normal stuff that we teach you. You know, get your education, da da blah blah. But I mean, it was like now, like literally at the age of 20, because you thought that you did a good job and put them out there. Now you're having a whole
Another worry.
teaching that you have to,
Yes.
like you're starting from babe to like teach them how to, you know, speak to the police, and this was things that I don't remember talking about. And I had a real hard time telling my boys because of the things that I instilled in them to like change the dynamics of how they talk when they're driving.
But at the same time, I think it's just a wild hair that gets up cops, you know what? Because Felio Castillo,
Yep.
he was chilled. He wasn't talking, ignorant, irate.
Mm-hmm.
No, he
And
wasn't.
he still got several bullets in his rear end. You know what I
Right.
mean?
He was in his
so it's
car.
just, I really think it boils on the attitude of the officer at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's, I guess the officer that did that was new and scary, but still,
Right.
that many bullets, you know, that was just, that's crazy. But no, I agree. And with my son being, like I said, he just got his license, I want to say 3 months ago. It's sad, you know, because our parents didn't get in the car and say, okay, if you're pulled, they didn't have the conversation. If you get pulled over by the cops, here's a protocol and this is what you need to do.
Right.
But now at this stage, I have to say, okay, so we're going to keep the insurance card right here.
Right.
This is
Don't
where it's
make
going to
them-
be, so it's visible.
I
And
didn't
if you
think
get
about
pulled
that.
over, try to be as respectful as you can. Don't come off with a little, you know, nasty attitude. And, you know, ask, can you get your license out your back pocket? That's if you haven't ripped it out already. You know, me, when I get pulled over, it's been a while, but when I have gotten pulled over, I kind of have my stuff kind of in a certain place where I can get it out quick too and just kind of sit it. And I'm a black female, but I'm still a little bit intimidated being pulled over by officers. I have my stuff, so if they come, I just quick get it before they even get up there, and I set it up on the dash.
And I had an issue with that. I really did have an issue with that. If my kids, and I don't know if they're tuned in, but I did have an issue with it. Of course, they will be respectful. Of course, they will get their license. But I was like this pro-black mom. Like, they didn't have to do any extra drastic measures to make you comfortable.
Right.
They're legal. They pay for their I paid for their driver's education. They got their license. They got insurance. Why do they have to do this extra step? Because of your fear.
Right.
But I did that for a while, like 17, 18, 19. But then now it kind of changed because I'm like, now it's getting serious. So I'm like, I'm going to need you to, you know, I'm asking you as your mom as a request from me, not because of who the cop is. I don't want to hear a story like the Philando, you know, case. So now I'm telling them to do it. But for me, I thought that was another form of slavery. Yes, sir. Here's my license, sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir. And I mean, but they already paid their dues to be legal to drive. You know, so that was an issue for me. But I mean, I had to do it because also in that same token, I'm like, I didn't want to, you know, get somebody at my door saying your son got shot because.
Right, because they thought he had something and all it was his wallet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And there was another case, and I can't remember what it was, and I know we want to do more research, but it was another case where he told them what he was doing and what he had on him. They still shot him. But my brother, about, I would say, a few months ago, he ended up getting stopped by the police. The first thing he did is when the guy came, asked him for his driver's license or whatever, he said he was a little nervous. He said, but he wasn't too scared because normally what happens is they'll call for backup. He said, this cop didn't call for backup. He said, so he wasn't too nervous. He said at the same time, he was just like, no. All his stuff was legit. Like insurance, his car is paid for, he had tabs, everything. But what the problem was is that the tabs that he had on his car was for another vehicle. Not so much that it was a total different vehicle, but they had his car as a 09 and his was a 06. So it registered as, okay, this is not
so
your car.
irritating.
So they pulled him over. My brother called me right away. It's like, listen, I need you to get over here. He said, I don't care. He said, just in case something happens, I need somebody to be here. He said, because the street that he was on, wasn't nobody out there. This was right over in North Minneapolis. Wasn't nobody outside. He said, I just need you to come over here just in case. And I was just like, I'm on my way. I don't know what I had on. It wasn't decent, though. And I slipped on my shoes. And that's how much of a fear I had.
Right.
Because I'm like, that's my only brother.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I need to be able to, I put on some shoes and I hot.
But it's like,
But
y'all
they
not
need to
going
know
to get
that
away.
somebody's
Yeah, that somebody's
looking.
watching.
My 16-year-old, well, it's a couple of things. When the media is so tough on that they already know. So they're already prepared. They're like, Mom, do I put my hands up right away? I'm like, honey, just be very respectful. Listen to what he says, because a lot of times cops are saying we have a hard time with the black community because because they don't listen.
Yeah.
That's their excuse. They
Yeah,
don't
we
listen.
don't listen.
So I always tell my sons, make sure you listen, you abide by it. They've done gotten to the point where my little guys say, I need you to call my mom. I'm going to call my mom. I want you to talk to my mom. And the one time he got pulled over, which was something silly, 16-year-olds are silly. The cop, he called me right with the cop there, and the cop actually got on the phone and he said, you have a really respectable young man. I said, thank you. And he said, the reason why I pulled him over was blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay. And then I said, you guys know not to do it again. We're good. Hung up the phone. He was like, I'm just giving him a verbal, no big deal, blah, blah, blah. And he let him off. And, of course, he said what he said. He had to hang up the phone because I don't let them talk and
Right.
drive.
Right.
So, yeah, it is.
I'm telling you, it ruffles my feathers because, like, all
It
those,
does.
why do our children have to do those extra measures? You know what I mean?
think
And it's
because
like,
they're
it's so hard.
It's intimidation. It's, like I said, it's almost like a hate thing. It's a hate crime. I hate to say it, but and even though it's coming from police, that's almost how you have to look at it. Because why other than any other reason would you have to do what you do, especially if someone is innocent? Remember when I was on Marco Polo, y'all? Did y'all see me on Marco Polo when I was like, I just saw this dude get pulled over. The whole entire neighborhood came outside, white, black. I mean, they just all came outside and was looking because now it's to a point where everybody's aware. It's not just the black community. Everybody is aware now. It was Asians standing out there, older people, Caucasian. It was all kind of people standing out there, and they were standing there watching. The dude got out the car, did just like this. I'm backing up. He was telling the cops everything he was doing. I'm backing up. I have nothing on me. He said, just my wallet. Do you want my driver's license? It's in my back pocket. You have permission to go in my back pocket and get it. So it's like, this is what he's telling them because he's letting them know, you have no reason to shoot me in case it happens. So, but this is the fear that is coming over our men, that are coming over our sons, that are coming over our brothers, our fathers, because they don't know at any given time what's going to happen.
Right.
Which brings to the point when you say that, I remember picking up the boys. My son got his license in April. I remember before picking up the boys from Valley Fair and we were driving back, and of course we were having a conversation about girls. So I have all boys and their friends. I had a car full of little boys, and we were talking about girls, and I got pulled over in Shakopee, and they all immediately, every last one of them picked up their phone and they said, we're recording this. That's how the media's
That's
done got
just their
these kids.
attitude.
And it's so
But I
crazy.
think that makes them mad, though.
And the cop,
Oh,
came
yeah.
up,
Of course.
man.
Yeah, now it do.
The cop
yeah.
came up, and when he realized he was being recorded by 6 other kids, he was like, ma'am, hi, good evening. How are you?
Yeah.
Skippity skip. I'm like,
Sometimes.
Nice and quiet.
Sometimes.
Because even when
So
she
crazy
just said
they
that,
have on
Philando
video
did the
cam.
same thing. He said, I am
but those
getting,
mysteriously get.
and Philando said, I am getting my license out the back of my pocket.
And they shot
Clearly.
him. He was sitting in the car.
And he still got shot. So, I don't know. I guess it's just whoever it is or whatever.
You
time,
were
like
talking
said.
about, did you have another question? Oh, okay. Now I was going to say, you were talking about how you had got pulled over, you were scared or whatnot, and even though it's a woman, and I remember telling you guys to watch that episode, and like, the Basketball Wives of Atlanta, I had watched that, and I saw the preview of the show, and I was like, that's the one I want to watch. Because it was the one girl on there, Malaysia. I don't know if anybody else out there watches it, but it was the one girl on there, Malaysia. She said she literally, when she sees a cop, she literally starts hyperventilating. She says she stops breathing. And she said she gets so scared. So she reached out. Do y'all know the Caucasian guy? He lives somewhere in the South or somewhere. And he does a lot in the community or whatever. He kind of, he's well known. She reached out to him over social media. And when she reached out to him, he agreed to meet with her because she was trying to get over like what she called a phobia. And when he walked up on her, he had on a blazer, a button-down shirt tucked in, regular pants. Wasn't a cop suit, but she said all she saw was a police uniform. When he walked up on her, she backed up and she immediately just broke down. She was like, I can't. She said, I can't. She said, all I saw was a uniform. She said, I immediately got scared. So she had to get herself together and, finally come to him and have to explain her story where, basically, in a nutshell, her brother was killed and shot by a cop. And so she said ever since then, she has had a phobia when it came down to cops. Sandra Bland, I'm still shook over that because nobody knows. And we know,
But
But
they gotta
nobody
say-
knows. There's no evidence, and nobody knows what
Right.
literally happened to her. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
All they know is that she could have possibly been strangled and died of asphyxia. So that's all they know. But woman pulled over because her tail light was busted. That's it.
So besides driving, what other kind of fears do you guys have with your boys that kind of stand out to you?
The friends they hang out with maybe sometime. You know, you got to know the company that your kids keep, because the reflection of those children, you know, can your kid running with the wrong crowd, you know, something go down. That's when it comes into knowing your child well enough. It's like my son and his friend. His friend is a good boy. You know, he's a little lippy, but he's a good boy. And they went up to the gas station, and the cashier didn't recognize an old $10 bill, so she thought that they had counterfeit money. So what did she do? She called the cops right away, saying that they had some troubled kids, and the cops come up over here in Bloomington. They swoop in on you like you done did something serious, because as you see when you're over here, they're just thick.
Right.
And they came up there, and like you said, my son called me, and I could tell in his voice instantly, because they had walked to the store instantly, that there was something wrong. And I was like you, I think my hair was half done. I was in the middle of getting my hair done, and I ran up there just like that. And the cop was really nice. He was just like, oh yeah, she didn't recognize the $10 bill, but your son was a little bit nervous, and because we're making them sit here, I just, you know, want you to know everything's cool, you know. They were really nice about it, but thank goodness that instantly, I don't know why, I thought they were stealing.
Did you?
I just did. Instantly, I thought that. I don't know why. You know, there's no reason to. You get whatever you want when you want it, but I just thought
Well,
they
see,
were
my
stealing.
reaction I would have went all in on the clerk. I'm gonna tell you right now.
I couldn't go in the store.
I would have went all in.
They wouldn't let you in the store.
No, they wouldn't let me in the store because I wanted to go
Yeah.
and find out
I
like
need
what
to
was
see
the
your
problem.
supervisor.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with
Yes.
money, you should.
It's
be a
at nighttime,
cashier.
so
No.
it was just how they
So
have
you
two people
accusing my
work.
son, and I know I got a good boys. I know I got good boys. See, stealing wouldn't even came to my mind because I know we know how we raise our kids. You know.
Well,
what
I
I'm
went in
saying?
the
So-
next day and I was like, so what happened? I heard the cops were here. You know how you try to play stupid.
Right.
And they were like, yeah, I guess it was some confusion. I don't know. They didn't want to get into it. And I was just like,
Well,
oh, I said, that was my kid. I said, does that lady still work here? I never saw her after that day, so I don't know if
Right.
she quit
She probably did.
or what.
I
She's
think
probably-
that is a hard thing for the friends. Like my boys, I actually trusted my. But why do I keep saying boys? Because they grown men now. But I actually trusted their friends up until like a couple of years ago. Like I absolutely have an issue because, like we said, we do our best to do what we can for our boys. But then it's like you said, that fear of hanging with somebody else that, you know, because my kids are kind of like me. They real protective, want to take up for, you know, different
Right.
things. And I have an issue with that now because I'm like, at this age, you should be able to decipher what are you standing up for your friend for and what you're not. And there's been so many situations that their friends have been in, and then my kids jump in with it, and it's like, that's a bad move because it could cost you your life.
Mhm.
You know, so that's a big fear with me too. My kids' friends, at this particular point, I'm like, they grew up together, but they definitely turned out different ways. And they probably say the same thing about my kids, but I'm like, that's another fear for me too. Like, the friends that they hang around, that's not getting it. Because you should see some kind of progression in your children
Right.
as they grow. But if they still doing the same thing they were doing like in high school, like some of the little dumb mistakes, at this particular point in their life, they can't still do that because there's different
Yeah,
consequences and there's different stages of, you know, different things that could develop within that. So, do you have any more fears? Another thing for me was legal representation. Y'all probably don't have. Y'all probably not going through that, but you know, with my kids, it's like with my son actually, he has the two boys. Another thing that bothers me about that is him being African American, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I'm really starting to feel like it's okay for my son to have a child by a Caucasian woman, but to be a part of their life as far as raising the child is different. It's an issue. Because I know we had the Mad for Dad programs, we have all this, but I just think like when it comes to my son just had to pay almost like $5,000, you know, and you just think they have regular jobs, they don't have like these mega jobs, but he had to like pay for a lawyer in order to get even parenting time or visitation rights to see his child because she decided when he ended the relationship that she would not allow the son to come around. I haven't seen him in like probably 2 or 3 years, but for me it's just like I figure like what happened in our legal system that they have that right to tell our boys. And it's funny, like, because when we went to court, it's like all these young guys are in there, like, they're desiring to see their child, but at this point, because they don't have, and these women coming in, I mean, these young girls, of course, their family are in different financial brackets, but they coming in, I mean, they got, like, advocates, they got, like, lawyers, they got all this stuff. So basically, when our kids standing before the judge, which I'll never forget when we first went to court, like, it hurt me so bad because my son was like, I'm going to go in there and just ask the, you know, and he was naive to think like, I'm going to go in here and say, I want to have visitation rights with my son. I want to, you know, pick him up from daycare. I want to have, you know, weekends, not asking for custody. He just said, I want to be a part. And it's like when we came in, it's like, okay, well, this is going to be easy, you know. But then when she came in, like, she had this whole, it looked like it was an O.J. Simpson trial. Like, she had an advocate, she had a lawyer, he had his sub-lawyer. And I'm like, and they all, I mean, they having all this paperwork, and I felt like so incomplete because I was like, I would not have thought that they would have to fight so hard to be a part. Mm-hmm. So, you know what I mean? So that's part as far as like with the child, like the legal representation of our boys is a big fear to me because even when they're getting into criminal things or civil things, like they have no one to represent them. We don't have nobody in our community that's doing like, you know, services. And then when they go like to, pro bono. But when they go to places, they have to go through this whole system and they don't even get picked, you know? Whoever is doing pro bono, we don't take that case. We don't take that case. Well, these are all the cases that's, require the African American community. So
exactly.
Why are you here? And I know plenty of people that like have done time or took probation or took a 1-year bid or whatever because of the fact that they had no representation to, help them, right, or get to that,
Shout out to Keith Ellison. He was my brother's lawyer though, but he did an awesome job when it came to my brother. So I was just thinking about that because if something ever, and Lord forbid it does, but if I ever had to get to that point, he would definitely be someone I would call. Hopefully he'll be at my disposal at the time,
right.
Instead of being in D.C. or Congress and all this other type of jazz. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I do feel like there could be more legal representation when it comes down to this. It just seems like nobody's doing any, like, who do we have to turn to? You see what I'm saying? There's no one, like, if right now something were to happen, who do I talk to? Who do I call?
They're going to assign you a public pretender.
A public pretender, not public defender.
Right.
A public pretender.
And then the first thing, and I've noticed that, I have my little issues or whatever, but it's like the first thing that I understand when they come in, they want to be like, here's a plea bargain.
Yeah, right away.
They never say to our boys, like, okay, so what's the evidence? What can I do? How, what information I can get from this? Or what, my boys have, had some legal stuff happen. The first thing that they say was like, want to take a plea bargain? Because if you say yes today, you can get 1 year probation. You don't have to go to jail. They always throw that out there. You don't have to go to jail. Take 1 year probation, pay $300 fine, and it's done.
Right.
And it's not going to be on your record.
That's a setup.
I know. Right. And then when it's like a juvenile case, and then when they like 20 years old and trying to find a job, here this thing that happened when they was 14
pops up.
Right.
On their record.
It's going to be on your record because you have to be charged with it if they're giving you probation.
Right. But our kids get so fearful. Again, as a mother, it's like I try to tell my kids, like, stay out the legal system. Because once the police put their hands on you, I can't do nothing.
Right.
You go, right, and then for really, when they lock you up, I can't be like, let my baby out. Like, I'm going to have to just sit in the waiting room and wait till them to, let you out. And luckily, they this far without, getting into some legal matters. But it's like, man, like, that's another thing. A lot of mothers, like, some kids have not done, they got that Khalif Bauer. If anybody's watching, watch that documentary. Like, this little boy did absolutely nothing, and the way he was tormented was a shame because it was like no legal representation. His mother was, low income, couldn't afford a lawyer, but it was a terrible story. Like, I could not sleep for like weeks thinking about that boy. And he dead now, but it was really sad.
That makes me.
There's actually a movie. I needed to pull it up, but there's actually a movie where the young girl and the young black boy are driving, and they get pulled over, and the boy gets shot and killed. Did y'all see the previews to that?
Is it a new movie coming out?
It's coming out. I want to go see it. I'm actually, you know what? I'm gonna pull it up. Y'all go ahead and finish talking. I'm gonna pull it up.
So another thing, so we was thinking about
Would kill you.
let's see what else we were thinking about.
While you're saying that, I was gonna tell a quick story. When I was younger, me of all people, y'all know me. Yes, girl. I had to go to court because of somebody trying to put a case on me. Like, me of all people, they tried to put a case on me. And you see
She
how,
was in tears.
girl, I was in tears. But I went in there with, like, you know, when you call before the judge, you know, my father came up there with me, and I was like, I thought for sure they were gonna get me because I was driving a car with that wasn't in my name. It didn't have no insurance and it didn't have no tabs.
Oh, wow.
So I knew for sure they were gonna get me good. I just thought that for sure. But when I got in there, it was a black judge. Do y'all know that black judge? All he made me pay was $300 to get that car out of impound. He didn't do anything else. Just like, next, like, this is
And I'm glad you opened up the door for that because that's what we was talking to. You had representation there with you. Remember we were saying something about, we was talking about how the influence of you had a dad.
Yep, my father came up there with me.
Right, so that makes that changed the whole dynamics of you going to
It really
court.
does because it showed. And my mom was there sitting, but he walked up with me as if this is my responsibility, I'm going to take this on with her. And the judge, he asked me a few questions, and that reminded me because I guess I've been in trouble twice. I'm a good girl, but I was in trouble twice, and I remember this girl tried to. Girl, I know, but that's been in my whole life. And this girl tried to say that.
Boring.
This girl tried to say that I was going to jump her. So I literally had to go. Remember that?
I remember that.
And they gave me a public defender. And he, just what you said, he was trying to get me to take something where I would have to do some juvie time. My parents were like, no, my child is innocent. And when the guy left, I'm like, Mom, I can't afford a real lawyer. What are we going to do? And at this time, I was like 16, 17. And they were like, we will remortgage our house to get you a good lawyer. You didn't do nothing. We are not about to go down this street. But my parents were in that situation, unfortunately, like a lot of other people that, thank God, the judge had a brain. I went in there and I was talking like I had sense. And my father, once again, went up there with me. And he was like, no, we have rules in our house. My kids aren't allowed after school to go and hang out. They got homework and chores before they can do anything. And the judge, kind of like he took him at his word. And he was just like, okay, yeah, dismiss. This is ridiculous.
And sometimes they judge you based off your character as well, and just by you saying that, because a lot of times, I'm for Black power, but sometimes we can get in court, we'll get in places, and we will act straight ignorant. And the thing is, you are treated by. You get treated by how you act, and that's just period. And I hate to say it, even though you may be innocent, sometimes we gotta. I wouldn't say sometimes, all the time. We gotta act like we got some sense. The fact that you knew you weren't guilty, there was no reason for you to act all out of character. You just basically put it out there. Your dad was like, "Listen, we didn't raise them like that. My daughter would never do that." And she looked at you, and was like, "All right, there it is, done deal."
And
that's
a
lesson.
But again, I swear, I don't know. Maybe I'm just tripping. That bothers me.
What?
Because why because of how we act? And I can understand if some people are ignorant. I know how to. But why does it have to be an adjustment for us to get what we want? You get what I mean? Like you said, people go to court and you're like, oh, they act ignorant or whatever. What is considered ignorant? Because if they're speaking back to the person that's telling them that, so if a judge is trying to give them a case and saying, oh, you did this, and we be like, oh no, I didn't do that. So that's like, we would consider that statement to be like ignorant.
No.
Or do
the statement is not ignorant. I mean, as far as your actions.
Right.
So I'm gonna tell you just like this. There was a time that, and like I said, I'm gonna use my brother. When I had to go to court for him, there were people that were going up on a stand. Half the reason why my brother got off was because half of them got up there and acted a plumb fool. But sometimes when you're sitting there, it's almost like if you take your kids and all of them are just sitting there, you have that one. Eventually, that one, you're gonna be like, you know what, go on to the next room. I don't even want to look at you. I don't want to talk to you. That's how it is. And I understand what you mean. And I don't think I could ever answer that question, because the fact that we had that work extra hard, why were we slaves at one time? Why were we condemned? Why were we traded? Why were we, you know what I'm saying? Why were we treated the way that we was? This is like a long line of history when it comes to Black folks, when it comes to African Americans, period. And so the thing is, that goes so far back in history to where it's like even till now we still have to understand because people look at us a certain way, we still have to, you know what I'm saying?
So we still in
We
prison.
got to take that, we have to do that extra step. We just have to.
We
Right,
do.
but
we
it's
do.
still imprisonment.
But you
It
know
sucks,
what? But here's the thing. If I'm in court, like she said, her parents didn't raise her like that, so she's not going to get in court and be like, Your Honor, I'm not going to stand up here and be sitting up and
Right.
you going to get, please, you got me straight messed up.
Right.
She's not going to get in court and act like
If
that
I
because
get
that's
mad
what.
enough, if you
It's
accusing me
not-
of something,
No,
I'm
but
not
here's
going
the
to change the
thing.
dynamics of nothing about me.
But here's
I'm not
the
gonna
thing.
do it.
You know what I mean? I'm not. I'm
Right, but here's
I'm
the
going to
thing.
jail.
Some people, and that's what I'm saying.
Lock me up.
Some people will judge you based on that.
Yep.
And the thing is, you can never get away with that because we as a people, we just judge. It doesn't matter. We have a habit of judging. So if you get in court and you start acting like that, then guess what's going to happen? The judge gonna be just looking at you like this is pure entertainment. You acted like the last chick that was in here. Take her away. He's not trying. You know what I'm saying? It depends. They're up there to judge you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's their job.
But it's usually a
So
white
if you're,
judge, though.
but it doesn't matter. Regardless, you can be up there. You know what? And I'm gonna tell you just like this. And this is really, really open. And you know what? This was in the paper, in the news. Keith Ellison was my brother's lawyer. When I say them people that got up on them stands, there was one woman up on there. She was high on something. I don't know what it was, but the prosecutor wanted my brother so bad. She got people to get up there and lie. When it was all said and done, the judge, white man, called them two to the chambers and literally said that woman was in there straight crying. She wanted my brother so bad. It was in the news. It was in the paper. Everything. He beat this case, and he shouldn't have. He shouldn't have. There was like several people who was like, it was him. But because of how they got up there and acted, when the judge finally figured it out, he said, come into my chambers. She basically had folks lie on him to get there. The judge figured it out. My brother's sitting there. He was like, I did not do that. No, that did not happen. I don't know who that is. My brother didn't get up in there acting like I'm innocent because he wasn't there. Somebody else accused him. He had just left the spot where it was. And somebody had accused him and said he was part of the person who beat this dude into a vegetable. He wasn't the one who did it. So when it all boiled down to it, the judge basically told her off so bad. She's in chambers crying. He came back to the court and was like, oh, dismissed. This whole entire case is dismissed because he couldn't understand. It was just everything that was going on. Now, if you're a good judge, then you will do that. If you're somebody that just hates, and you just see a black person, you just want to hate, then that's something totally different. But when Keith Ellison came out there, he said, did you just see what happened? I said, no, what happened? He said, oh, he's going home. Point blank, just
Right,
like that.
But your brother had a lawyer.
He had a lawyer, but at the same time,
big difference. You
it
know how
makes
many
a
our
whole
kids,
big
How many of our
difference.
kids don't have a lawyer?
Yeah.
But
You
that's
best
also
believe-
called favor.
Exactly.
Because there was more going on
Because
behind.
it sure was. Because my
Power
mom was
moving
over
on
there.
that.
She said, my mom put up her house.
Mm-hmm.
She did the same. She did
Yeah.
exactly what she had to pay out money because Keith Ellison was a big lawyer even then, and his name rang bells. But she said, I will pay you. She said, because I know my son didn't do it, and that's exactly what she did, and he got off. Just like that. He should have never got out because my brother was looking at 25 years, y'all.
That and prayer, girl.
My mom said
You know
he's
what I
not
mean?
going. She said he didn't do it. He's not going.
Wow.
He's not going. Bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
So
and I would do the same thing for my son.
Yeah, I'll probably be the person.
I'd be like, hey, y'all can sell
Well,
that
then
house over
contempt.
there. I'd be like,
Well,
sell
then
my townhome.
I
Sell my townhome.
I need to work on that because they'll be like, put her in contempt. I mean, because even when my son was going to court about this little baby, I was like, oh, I could not just keep it because it was like, she was literally like, she got pictures off, and that was, so we going back to the legal part. Like, he would put a picture up on Facebook and would say something, whatever they little teenage, however they little lingo is, and then she was like, and so this means this. And I'm like, she's telling the judge that, and I'm like, I'm sitting there as a mother, like, are we serious right now? And it's like, and you have to sit there and watch your child go through all that. Like, he hurting, I'm hurting, we trying to say we want to say, but we can only say so much because it's like I said, it's me and him, and then it's the lawyer, her, and the whole O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
I mean, she had Cochran, she had everybody, the Kardashians. I mean, and we sitting there with a piece of paper like, with this belief of our favor to go in there and be like, right, Rob, what was his name, Rob? But anyway, so switch that. So I mean, this is a good time to say. So we was also talking about careers for our children.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
talking about the judge. We're talking about the white police. We're talking about the white judges. We're talking about the white teachers. We're talking about the white everything. Why do our kids have to change the dynamics of who they are to get this representation? Blah, blah, blah. So that made us kind of think about, when I had my children in the 90s, that we was like thinking about how we never have an opportunity to tell our children what we wanted them to do in the black community. And I know Mika said in her household it was different, but I just don't remember us. Basically, when we have our children, the first thing that we do is put them into sports.
Yeah.
Because for somehow it has been told to us that will keep them off the streets. Basketball, we talented, we do all this stuff. That's the first that from generations to generations to generations to teach our children to do that. So me and Amika was basically talking about like, if we could change the dynamic of raising our boys today, even the grandsons or whatever, like what would be one of the things that we regret, and what thing we would do that would be different.
So let me actually make comment on that, because it's funny that you should say that, because everybody kept telling me put my boys in sports. My youngest, my 16-year-old, actually stopped playing sports and actually got involved in stock markets, and he does very well, very well at
That's
it.
good to know.
Right.
He's like, Mom, I'll be at 12,000 come December, and he's done got his charts and everything broke down. When I say
So is that
kid
something they
good,
teach them in school, or
No.
somebody else?
Well,
is
how old,
something
what
he
son
could-
are you talking about? How old
My
is the
youngest one, my
one?
16-year-old.
Right. So what I'm saying, back in the day, the one that's 20 and our kids that's born back in the days, the main outlet for us, and maybe it's just in my little world, was sports. Like, because that was always keep them busy. But we have so many different venues of, instead of sports, debate teams, stock marketing, golfing. I mean, different ways that can get them into positions to be, what is that called when they would send the kids to their little academy, when it's police academy or something?
Like the
Cadets?
Explorers
I mean,
The
program?
cadets, yeah, but it's in Minnesota. We don't have that I don't know if they had it in Chicago, but it wasn't offered to our children. But I just remember having my kids, at this point, like with my grandkids, it would be like, if they have a hobby of like going play basketball after school with their friends, but it wouldn't be like basketball would be like, because our kids used to play from like 3rd grade to 8th grade to senior year to college. And it's like, for me, I would just change the whole dynamics of that. Because they can also spend their other time doing other things, like being in the cadets. They can go, sit under forums to listen to, the House and the Senate and all this stuff. And it's like, as a black community, like we have to think of different venues that, or outlets that our kids can do.
Yep.
Because that's how I feel right now. Me and Amika was talking about that. I was like, how would my children have been if I wasn't pushing football down their throat? Or pushing wrestling down their throat, and like getting more into some debates, or politicians, or to lead to something different. But we don't, as an African American community.
I was just more supportive of him, but he quickly joined the Black Entrepreneur out at Lakeville, which is something new, and they deal with nothing but a lot of black owners. We have a lot of black owners that come in from Minneapolis, that come in and actually talk to the black children out at Lakeville. He's even gotten a scholarship to the university for being in it and being so good and advancing so fast, so well with it. And I'm really proud of him, because I just didn't see him doing that, because he was so good in sports. He was really, really good in sports, and he stopped and was like, I want to be business minded. I need to make that million early. You know what I mean? So that's where his mindset is. And that's just me being supportive. I did like everybody else. Oh, get him involved in sports. He was good, but he was like, no.
And I think because of everything that's happening right now, will the minds of mothers change as far as allowing our children to do that? I think that's something important to be we need to, as a community, as mothers, to say, look, you don't have to play basketball.
Yeah.
Because it's a natural, because here's the thing about it, it's a natural born gift. Sports, athletes, all that stuff, athletic, that's a natural born thing to any
Yeah.
African American child. I think it's just a natural instinct. I think it already. Why aren't we pushing our children to think differently outside of that box?
That is correct.
You know what I mean?
Because they're not just subject to sports. There's other things that they can do. My son loves animals. He wants to be a zoologist.
Oh,
There was a time
nice.
that he did not like bugs. He would scream and holler, and all of a sudden he just got fascinated with. And I'm talking about reptiles, snakes, and all that. But he wants to study animals. And he also loves music. So he loves basketball, but I told him too, because I do push education. I push education. I'm like, even if you graduate high school, you're going to end up being on your own at some point. You have to make a living somehow for yourself. I said, you don't necessarily have to go to college, even though I'm pushing it, but you have to have something under your belt to where you know that you'll be able to survive and, on your own. I said, because you're 18. I said, you will always have a home at mom's house. I said, do I always want you living with me? No. So you're going to have to do something and to prove to yourself, not to me, not to everyone else, not to the police, just to prove to yourself that you can be beyond, you can be something beyond what people put you in a box. And say this is all you can be is play football or play basketball, because you don't even know if you'll ever make it to the NBA.
Right.
Right.
You don't know if you're gonna make it into the NFL.
I think they said it's like 1 in 2 million chance or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. Somebody did it like the numbers on that, and I was like, whoa!
Yeah.
But that's all that we push.
Yeah.
And things are not going to change until we start getting our kids that's in this generation, or even the kids after, because some of us dropped the ball for the ones that's in this generation, but the ones that's coming out, like my grandson, it won't be like I'm going to no, we're not doing none of that. I'm gonna try my best to get him involved with different things that would get his, to have for him to want to do different things, instead of just the sports. They could put him into a political position where he could make a decision.
Yeah.
Because right now we don't have as many of our African American kids or anything that, like, because I look on Facebook sometimes, like 25-year-old judges in Atlanta. And I mean, just look at the way the diversity, but they're African American. And it's a whole different ball game when we have our people sitting in those chairs, when we have our people, being able to do those things instead of sitting in a football game.
And I honestly think that Minnesota is also a box. It's a box, and I'm trying to teach my kids to think outside the box. So when my daughter tells me she doesn't want to come back here, I applaud, because they're doing things. I need you to know that there's something other than Minnesota. You don't have to just stay here. You can go outside where you have those opportunities to become that 25-year-old judge.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
But just not here.
Yeah.
So what else we had? What else did we have? Did y'all have anything else on y'all notes to think about? So we was also talking about the power of influence.
Oh, you mean
The husbands, because of Mika with her little stories.
Mentors, husbands.
No, let's get on. Well, probably all y'all.
What?
The good crew. We separated. That's why me and Ebony's always sitting together. And then we got these two that sit together because their life was just, planned and, all these
She said, please.
magnificent thing. So we were saying, so we got to talking about the fathers, because we do all have boys, and I bet you we all have so many stories that we could tell about the fathers of our children. And I was telling how we did not have the opportunity to pick who that person was, or did you have an opportunity to pick who you wanted to be a father. So we're going to let Amika go first. I wish I had a microphone, because I want all the mothers to hear this perfect story that she has to tell about her son's father.
No, it's no perfect story. We were talking earlier, and I was pretty much telling her that, when you're at the stage when you're ready to look for someone to have a kid by, I guess my mindset at the time was, I knew the type of man I wanted, which my husband, for those that don't know, is white. My husband's Caucasian. My husband's Caucasian. At the time, though, mindset of wanting kids, I wanted a black husband. I wanted a black mate, but just with bad experiences, that kind of fell off. And then when I became open to dating other nationalities, that's how I met my husband. But I knew I wasn't going to just get pregnant by any type of Caucasian. You had to have I had to have a list. You had to be able to be checked off all them things. You know what I mean? I wasn't about to be having
She had a list, guys.
well, I had one for the black man too, but that didn't happen. So I had my list for the white man. So, my husband and I dated a lot of white guys. I dated a lot of guys. But when I focused in on my husband, because I knew he was the one, I decided this is going to be the one I'm going to have kids by. I knew that he was a good husband because he was good to his parents. He was very good to me, and he was family orientated. And he could cook, and he had a good job.
But what made you think that he would be the role model that you needed? Because there are different qualities, right? There's different qualities that you need to raise a man.
So my husband was my friend. We were friends first. So I knew him. You know, he was one of those kind of friends. Like, I see why you can't keep a woman. This is your problem. So we were that kind of friends. Like, we were cool.
Right.
And it just so happened to develop into a relationship. But just seeing him and just knowing how his thinking, his mindset, I knew that he would be a man that would be a good father for children. You know what I mean?
And what were some of the things that stood out that you?
Well, he's the oldest of 10 brothers and sisters.
Okay.
So he helped raise them, so that was a bonus. You know, so he was gonna be good with kids, as well as family orientated. You know, having to help with all those children, having to get out there early and get a job to kind of help out with the family. That was kind of stuff that I was keeping in the back of my head. Plus, bonus knowing how to cook and just conversations you have. Like, you know, I say when you date and you have kind of conversations on, you know, what it is that you want, how many kids you want, you know, that was one of my things. What's your belief system? You know, if we weren't on the same page with our religion belief, that wasn't going to happen. Even though I had focused in on him, that wasn't going to happen because that was huge for me. He had to be able to have the same beliefs scripturally that I believed into.
Right.
So I knew that was the man that I wanted to have children by.
What about you, Miss Edie?
When you say role model, I was looking for a man who could be a role model to our boys, respect women, be successful at being a business owner. We had lots of properties, so he had a good paying job. We had lots of properties. He was very business minded. He was very good with finances. He was always talking about keep your credit up. There was just certain qualities about him that I said, okay, he could instill into our children besides myself. You know what I mean? I know what I could do as a mother, as a woman, but, you know, children, especially little boys, they look for mom as that comfort, but they look to dad as that, So they look to see where they could get that figure from. So those were just kind of things that I was like, okay, I need a man. I don't need a boy.
So your kids were planned as well?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And I think a lot of times women look for men that is a reflection of your father. So like we grew up with a man in the home, so we saw how our father treated our mother. So that was another thing. That's why I said he had to be good to me. He couldn't be talking crazy. He couldn't talk crazy to his parents because then I knew if he talked crazy to them, eventually he'd be talking crazy to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he had to I had to see a reflection of my father in him too.
What about you, Miss Ebony? Did you see how she looked at
like
him?
what?
Well, I wanted a black husband too.
Girl, you better be open.
I better be open. Right.
I'm teasing. Sometimes we used to go back and forth about because my ex-husband is African American, but he's very, 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 very fair skinned. Like he's very like no pigmentation, fair skinned.
Green eyes.
So and green eyes, blue eyes,
blue eyes.
However you want to put it, and all of my kids, and it's so crazy because my kids were they used to think my son. Remember that time we was in church? They was like, "Oh, we're bringing you your kids," and she looked at my son. She's like,
"That one's not mine."
She said, "That's not my son." Because no, one of the church members that was our church. It was just so comical because she said, her kids are, you know, her husband is Caucasian, so her kids are lighter skinned, but my son is very, very light skinned too. So he just looked like he belonged to her. So she just brought him over, but. I did have a choice of who I wanted to have kids with. I did. So when it was the same thing with me and my ex-husband when we first met. Actually, when me and my ex-husband first met, he asked about me or whatever, but we really didn't like each other at first. And then when we kind of got to know each other, then we were real, real cool. as far as friends were concerned. So I think we built like on a friendship or whatnot. So, but he and I both knew, like when we first got married, when we had our daughter, we knew it was going to be a girl. We had her name picked out, everything. So all that was.
That's what we was talking about. The biggest regrets of that. It's like my thing was growing up with your children. Because now, if I was to have a child or something, it would be. Well, I'm not having kids now, but
I'm just playing.
I know, but you would think about like those things too, and that's a lot of the issues in Chicago, like wonderful Minnesota, but in Chicago there's not, and because I don't want to try like the, you know what I mean. So if we could, because we're gonna be kind of like closing it up a little bit, like what is your biggest regret, as far as you can say with your children? That you would say or feel comfortable saying that if you could do it different as a mother, pertaining to who they are and what they are right now, that you would change? Because I think we kind of talked about like what would be a regret thing.
I wouldn't change anything. I don't regret anything.
Neither do I.
I don't regret nothing.
I don't either.
Well, our kids are still younger,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we're still in the phase of raising them. So
Right.
yeah, so right now I don't have any regrets either. Okay, I might have a little one now that I think about it. I could probably push them a little bit more in school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could push them a little
The
bit more in
education
school and be
part,
like, okay, less game time, more book time.
Right.
Yeah, and see, for me, I pushed education. So, like I said, right now, you know what? I lived. You know how people live vicariously through you, and most parents, they don't live vicariously through their kids, but I did. You know what I'm saying? That was me. So when they came, it was about them. It was like, you gonna do? Oh, I'm coming too.
Right.
And I was always there. I was at everything, and I'm just like, okay, I mean, when you gonna start living for you? But to me, it was more important to have, to be about them than it was me, I guess. So even with my daughter in college, I'm like, I live vicariously through you, because I wish I could have lived on campus, or I wish I could have went out of school, out of town.
Right.
So I'm proud. So I kind of looked at, I wanted them to do stuff different from what I did.
Yeah.
Not that it was bad for me, but like I said, I wanted to go to college and wait. My mom was like, I ain't got no money. What you mean? Talking about? So for me, I was like, we're going to make a way, because now times are different. Now, you know what I'm saying? You have access to, and before I didn't know nothing about that. So it's almost one of the things, if I wish I knew then what I knew now.
Right.
So
at the end of the day, I just think as we didn't really get that many mothers that tuned in tonight. That Nunu was on here. What's her? Nunu. Hey, Nunu. Tanu was on here as well.
Yeah, Tanu.
Hey. But you know what? We just wanted the mothers to know, especially Miss Thompson. Like I said, they were supposed to be here this week and kind of talk about some of this organization stuff that's activist going on right now. But with her, I feel her. I don't ever want to feel what she's going through, but I feel as a mother how she feels, as far as like getting a phone call, hearing that her son got shot. I mean, it was not like just a shot in the foot or a scrape. Like, it literally like went through his chest and came through his arm. And as a mother, it's like I always at night, I swear, when I say my prayers, like for the protection part, because we don't know. It could be the phone call. We could be a phone call away from it, or but as the Four Opinions, we want to let everybody know. I know I do, that we are here for you as mothers who's going through things. Like we always tell people, it's an open invitation. You can always come in our inbox. We do not have it planned. We do not have it perfectly planned out, but we do know that we can offer support to help those who need us.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. And when we're on here, we just saying our opinions. We try to laugh and talk through things. We always reiterate that we are mothers as well of boys. Maybe we can connect, do something for the boys. And we got who's that? Terry Austin.
Yeah.
He is actually doing a phenomenal job in the community as far as with the boys. Corey Dean.
Shout out to y'all.
Yeah, he's doing something now. Tito Wilson.
Yeah.
We got a lot of our men stepping up.
They are.
Debonair. I mean, we got a lot of men that's stepping up.
Shout out to y'all.
So, we got
we need
women.
y'all.
It's coming along so
The
good.
mothers, we got to get right here with us, because mothers, we have to mother our sons as well. So.
Yes. What did you say the woman and the man's name is again?
Who?
The one whose son got shot.
JT Thompson.
JT and Thompson.
Yeah.
All right,
JT
prayers
Thompson.
out to you all for your son.
Thank y'all for tuning in. Next week, hopefully, we will have it's
Yes.
gonna be We kind of said, we're not saying Black Lives Matter, talking about the organization that's going on in Minnesota. We're saying that Black Lives Matter. Is this a movement or is this an organization?
Yeah.
So we gonna next week try to come in and tune in. We should have some people on this the podcast, and it should be really, really interesting.
Yeah.
So y'all tune in next week, Thursday at 7. Love you guys.
Have a good night,
That
everybody.
movie that was called was The Hate You Give.
The
The
hate
Hate
you
is on
give.
Netflix.
No, it hasn't come out yet. But watch
The
that
Hate
trailer.
You Give.
The
Okay.
Oh,
Hate
The
You
Hate You
Give.
Give. Y'all go check that out. That is
All
good.
right.
It's good.
Yeah.
God bless you all.
All right.
Have a good one,
Good night.
everybody.
Good night, mothers.
Good night. Father's next week or something.
I know, right?